Two teams, one game, one ticket to the NBA Finals. This is not a regular season matchup. This is not a tune-up. This is not a game where you can afford to have a bad night and come back tomorrow to fix it. There is no tomorrow. This is Game 7. And tonight, the one question that the entire basketball world is asking, the question that millions of fans, analysts, coaches, and casual viewers are all sitting with, is this, will it be the OKC Thunder, or will it be the San Antonio Spurs? Get comfortable, because the story of this series is not a simple one. It is a story of momentum swings, devastating injuries, young superstars refusing to back down, and two franchises that represent completely different versions of what winning basketball looks like. Are you ready? Because this is where we begin. Before we talk about tonight, before we break down the injury report, before we get into who has the advantage and who needs to do what, I need to take you back. Not just the start of this series. All the way back to the beginning of this moment. Picture Oklahoma City. Picture the Paycom Center on a playoff night. Picture the streets outside, where fans start lining up hours before tip-off. They are wearing blue and orange. They are carrying banners. There are fathers holding their sons on their shoulders. There are teenagers who have saved up for weeks just to be there. There are elderly couples who have been season ticket holders for over a decade, and every single one of them believes. They believe in their team. They believe in their two-time MVP. They believe that the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champions of the entire NBA, are going to walk through this series and take their rightful place back on the biggest stage. But on the other side of the floor, the San Antonio Spurs did not come to watch. They came to win. Let me walk you through this series game by game, because if you do not understand what has already happened, you cannot fully appreciate the weight of what is about to happen tonight. Game 1, Oklahoma City, Paycom Center. Every single prediction said the Thunder would control this game. They were the number 1 seed in the entire West. They were the reigning champions. They had the best player on the planet in their starting lineup. Home court advantage, crowd advantage, experience advantage. The Spurs did not care about any of that. Victor Wembanyama, the young man that many experts have called the most uniquely talented player to enter the NBA in at least 20 years, walked into the Paycom Center and announced himself, not just through scoring, through blocking shots that seemed impossible to block, through making passes that only a player with his combination of size, vision, and instinct could make, through controlling the game in ways that do not always show up on the box score, but that every person watching could see clearly. The Spurs took Game 1, 122-115, on the road, in the loudest arena in the Western Conference. That is not a fluke. That is a statement. Game 2, still in Oklahoma City. The Thunder woke up. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or SGA, as the entire basketball world now calls him, reminded everyone why he has been named the most valuable player of the entire NBA 2 years in a row. Back-to-back. Consecutive MVPs. That does not happen by accident. That does not happen because of luck or circumstance. That happens because of obsession, because of film study at midnight, because of early morning workouts when the rest of the city is still asleep, because of a level of commitment to excellence that very few human beings are capable of sustaining. Game 2, SGA showed up completely. The Thunder took it back. 122-113. Series tied at 1 game apiece. Thunder fans exhaled. There we go, they said. That is the team we know. Spurs fans? They were already thinking about Game 3. Game 3. The series shifted to San Antonio, Texas. Frostbank Center, the home of the Spurs. The building that carries the legacy of Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. The building where 5 NBA championships were built. The building where the concept of the right way to play basketball was turned into a dynasty. And in that building, in front of the Spurs faithful, the Thunder walked in and said, "We are not afraid of your history." OKC won Game 3, 123-108. But the score is not the most important thing that happened in Game 3. In Game 3, the injury story of this series began. A.J. Mitchell, the second-year guard who had become one of the most reliable contributors off the bench for Oklahoma City, a player who had scored 15 points or more in 6 of his 11 playoff games, left the game in the second half with a calf injury. A soleus strain. The kind of injury that is serious enough to keep a player out for weeks. He would not return that night. And as the Thunder celebrated their win, somewhere in the back of everyone's mind was a small, quiet concern. The depth that had made this Oklahoma City team so difficult to beat, the ability to throw wave after wave of talented, fresh players at their opponents, had just taken its first hit. Game 4, back in San Antonio. OKC had a 2-1 series lead. Mitchell was out, but the Thunder were still confident, as they should have been. You win 2 out of 3, you are in a good spot. One more win, and you are one game away from the finals. Simple math. The Spurs had a different kind of math in mind. 103-82, San Antonio, and it was not close. It was not a game that was competitive deep into the fourth quarter. It was a Spurs statement, a Spurs blowout. The kind of game where you could feel, watching from your couch or your phone screen, that something had shifted. Wembanyama was dominant. De'Aaron Fox, the all-star guard the Spurs acquired specifically to be the fast, aggressive, scoring engine beside Wembanyama, was everywhere. Stephon Castle, the young point guard who plays with the fearlessness of someone who's been doing this his whole life, refused to make a mistake. Julian Champagny, the wing shooter who has quietly been one of the most efficient players in these playoffs, was making shots from every corner of the court. The Spurs had found their rhythm. And now the series was tied at 2. Game 5, back in Oklahoma City. 3-1 lead for the Thunder after this one. This is where the series took its most dramatic turn. Because after the Thunder won Game 5 to take that commanding 3-1 lead, the whole world had its calculator out. 3-1 comebacks in the NBA playoffs? They almost never happen. The history books are full of teams that looked unstoppable at 3-1 leads. Going down 3-1 in a playoff series is considered by most basketball analysts to be nearly insurmountable. The Spurs were there, 3-1, down. But here is what you need to understand about the San Antonio Spurs organization. They have been building this team for years under a philosophy that prioritizes toughness, intelligence, and preparation. And when you build a team on those values, the score at the end of Game 5 does not tell you who is going to win the series. And then came the other development. The one that shifted everything. Jalen Williams, the third pillar of the Thunder, the player called J-Dub, the wing scorer who gives SGA a credible second threat and whose presence opens up the entire Oklahoma City offense, started feeling a hamstring injury again. His left hamstring. This was not his first time. It was not his second time. It was not even his third time. This was his fourth hamstring injury of the season. 4 times. Same leg, same area. Same devastating interruption at the worst possible moments. And now it had returned again at the exact moment when Oklahoma City needed everyone healthy and full strength. The Thunder still won Game 5. Final score 127-114. They had their 3-1 lead, but the clock on Jalen Williams was ticking. Game 6. San Antonio. The Spurs' backs against the wall. Win or go home. It was that simple. And there's a saying that coaches and players have repeated for generations. You never find out who someone truly is when things are going well. You find out who they are when everything is on the line, and they have no choice but to be their best. The Spurs chose to be their best. Victor Wembanyama was extraordinary in Game 6. Not just statistically, though the numbers were very good, but in terms of presence, energy, the way he set the tone for the entire game from the opening tip-off. You could feel it from the first minute. Wembanyama was not playing cautious. Wembanyama was not playing careful. Wembanyama was playing like a man who had decided this game was his. And the Spurs won by 27 points. 118-91. 27 points. Against the defending champions. In an elimination game, that is not just a win. That is a declaration. And Jalen Williams? The Thunder tried to get him out there. He played 10 minutes. He was visibly not himself. The movement was off. The explosiveness that makes him such a difficult matchup was simply not there. His body was protecting itself, doing what injured bodies do, refusing to let him perform at the level he needed to. After the game, the question was no longer whether he was hurt. The question was whether he could even play in Game 7. And now we arrive at the injury report. The numbers that shape the entire strategic picture for tonight's game. Let's start with the OKC Thunder. Jalen Williams, out. Left hamstring. Injury management. He will not play tonight. This is a player who averaged 17.1 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 5.5 assists during the regular season. The player who serves as a secondary engine of this offense. The one who can take over a quarter when SGA needs a rest. The one who creates mismatches with his combination of size and skill. The one whose presence alone forces opponents to divide their defensive attention. Without him, every single defensive scheme the Spurs run tonight can be focused almost entirely on one person. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Ajay Mitchell, out. Left calf soleus strain. Mitchell has been out since Game 3. He has not returned. The soleus strain has kept him completely sidelined, and he will remain that way tonight. This was the player who gave the Thunder credible bench production throughout the playoffs. Scoring, energy, shot creation. The kind of second-unit contributor who allows the coaching staff to manage the rotations of starters without sacrificing offensive output. Without Mitchell, the Thunder's bench scoring options are significantly reduced. Two players. Two of the three most important offensive weapons on this Oklahoma City roster. Gone. And what that means is this. In a Game 7 on the biggest stage of the season, the entire weight of Oklahoma City's championship hopes rests on the shoulders of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now let us talk about who SGA is and why this is both terrifying and fascinating at the same time. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a two-time MVP, a back-to-back MVP. He is the most consistent scorer in professional basketball. He is a player who has been tested in playoff situations multiple times and has, more often than not, risen to the moment. In the most recent Game 7, this one, SGA finished with 35 points, 12 of 21 from the field, 9 assists, 3 steals. He did everything a superstar is supposed to do, and yet the Thunder still lost. Not because SGA failed, but because basketball is a team sport. And when you are down two of your most important players, even the best individual performance in the world has its limits against a deep, healthy, motivated team that is playing the best basketball of their season. The question for tonight is the same question that defines every great playoff story. Can one transcendent individual will a team to victory against a full roster of motivated, healthy, and talented opponents? History says it is possible. It has happened before. It will happen again. But it is extraordinarily difficult. Now, let us look at the San Antonio Spurs injury report. Clean. The Spurs enter Game 7 with their full roster available. No major injury concerns. No uncertainty about availability. All of their key players, Wembanyama, Fox, Castle, Champagny, Johnson, Harper, are ready to play. When you look at the contrast between the two rosters entering tonight, the health advantage for San Antonio is undeniable. It is not a minor edge. It is a significant strategic advantage that their coaching staff will absolutely build their game plan around. Let us now talk about the keys to this game. What does each team need to do to walk out of the Paycom Center tonight as a team that is moving on to the NBA Finals? For the OKC Thunder, number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander needs to be on another level, not MVP level. Beyond it, he needs to score efficiently, create for his teammates, manage the game wisely, and do it all for 40-plus minutes without the luxury of knowing that J-Dub can take over for a stretch and give him breathing room. He needs to be relentless from the opening tip to the final buzzer. Number 2, the role players need to step into the spotlight. Cason Wallace had a strong performance in Game 7 of the prior round. He needs to shoot the ball confidently, knock down open threes, and not shrink in the moment. Jalen Williams needs to provide a physical presence in the paint, rebound, and give energy. Every single member of the rotation needs to understand that tonight is their night too, not just SGA's night. Number 3, defense at the highest level. The Thunder are one of the most disciplined defensive teams in the league over the past 3 seasons. Their system is designed to funnel opposing offenses into uncomfortable positions, generate turnovers, and build momentum off stops. If they can bottle up the Spurs transition offense, slow down the three-point rhythm of Champagny, and make Victor Wembanyama work for every single basket rather than letting him get easy ones, they have a chance. For the San Antonio Spurs, Number 1. Victor Wembanyama needs to be the player we saw in Game 6, not the version of Wembanyama who struggled in certain moments. The Game 6 version, the version that looked like a force of nature. 7 feet tall, handles the ball like a guard, passes like a point guard, defends everything within a 10-foot radius. When Wembanyama is operating at a ceiling, he is genuinely unlike anything the league has ever produced. Number 2. De'Aaron Fox must push the pace. Fox was brought to San Antonio precisely because he is the kind of player who attacks relentlessly. His speed creates chaos for opposing defenses. His ability to get into the paint and either finish or find cutters puts constant pressure on the entire Thunder defensive structure. Fast tempo is the Spurs' friend tonight. Slow the game down, and they play into the Thunder's strengths. Push it, and they exploit their depth advantage. Number 3. Julian Champagny must continue his remarkable shooting. In Game 7 of the last round, he shot 6 of 10 from the three-point line, 60%. In a playoff game, if the Spurs can keep creating those open corner threes for Champagny, and their ball movement has been excellent at doing exactly that, the Thunder defense will be stretched beyond what it can contain. Now I want to take a moment and talk about the history of this specific game, because context matters. Tonight is the 160th Game 7 in NBA history. But what makes this particular one even more extraordinary is the context around the entire 2026 playoffs. This is the 5th Game 7 of this postseason, which ties the all-time record for the most Game 7s in a single NBA playoff year. 5 winner-take-all games. 5 moments where 2 teams played through an entire series and could not separate themselves from each other until the very last game. And this one is the last of 5. The largest stakes. The Western Conference Finals. A spot in the NBA Finals. On one side, the defending champions. The team that was favored to win the entire West before the playoffs even began. The team that has dominated the conference for the better part of 3 years. The team with the best player on the planet. On the other side, a young, hungry, healthy Spurs team that has beaten every team placed in front of them, fought back from a 3-1 deficit in this very series, and shown that they are not just a team of the future. They are a team of right now. Let me also talk about the coaching element here, because it deserves attention. Mark Daigneault of the Thunder has built one of the most sophisticated team cultures in the NBA. His ability to develop players, build systems, and maintain competitive discipline across a long season is elite. The fact that his team has not lost back-to-back postseason games since May of 2024 is a testament to the adjustments he makes and the standards he holds his players to. Tonight, his greatest challenge as a head coach is right in front of him. How do you build a Game 7 game plan when 2 of your most important players are unavailable? How do you design sets that maximize what SGA does best while keeping opposing defenses honest enough not to simply collapse on him every single possession? Mitch Johnson of the Spurs, meanwhile, has earned the trust of the entire Spurs organization through his work this season. He has managed this young group with intelligence and patience, giving Wembanyama the freedom to grow while also maintaining structure and discipline. He has earned this Game 7. Now for the part of this breakdown that every good preview needs. The prediction. I am going to give you mine. Not because I know the future. Nobody does. But because looking at the full picture, the health advantage, the momentum, the matchups, the statistical trends, tells a story. The Oklahoma City Thunder need a miracle performance tonight. Not a great performance. A miraculous one. They need Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to produce somewhere in the territory of 38 to 42 points, while simultaneously distributing the ball effectively and limiting turnovers. They need multiple role players to step up in meaningful ways simultaneously. And they need their defense, without 2 of its key contributors, to hold together for 48 minutes against a Spurs offense that has operated with tremendous confidence. Is it possible? Absolutely. This is the NBA. This is a Game 7. Anything is possible, but the edge goes to San Antonio. The Spurs enter this game with every single key piece available. They are riding the momentum of a dominant 27-point Game 6 victory. Their best player is playing the best basketball of his young career. Their system is clicking. Their depth gives them options that the Thunder simply cannot match tonight. Victor Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Julian Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Dylan Harper, against a Thunder team that is running on the fuel of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's will and the courage of a group of role players who understand what this night means. That is a tough ask for Oklahoma City. But here's the thing about Game 7s. The reason millions of people watch them, the reason they carry a weight and electricity that no other game in sports can quite replicate. The outcome is not decided on paper. It is not decided by injury reports. It is not decided by momentum charts or statistical projections. It is not decided by anything that happened before tonight. It is decided in those final minutes, in those final possessions, in those moments where a player looks at the situation, the scoreboard, the clock, the crowd, the pressure, and either rises to meet it or does not. And we have no idea which players are going to rise tonight. We have no idea where the turning point will come from. We do not know if a role player nobody is talking about right now will hit the shot that changes everything. We do not know if a defensive stop in the third quarter will swing the emotional momentum of the entire building. We do not know if someone who has been quiet all series will suddenly, inexplicably, catch fire in the fourth quarter. That is the magic. That is exactly why Game 7 is the single most captivating event in professional basketball. So as you prepare to watch tonight, whether it's on a big screen at home surrounded by friends, or on your phone quietly by yourself, or at a bar packed with people who are all feeling the same anxious electricity, remember this. The players on that court tonight are not just competing for a trophy. They are competing for their place in history. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing tonight for everyone who ever looked at him and wondered if he could do it without a full supporting cast. He is playing for every early morning workout when the gym was empty and nobody was watching. He is playing to prove that a two-time MVP does not need perfect circumstances to perform at the highest level. Victor Wembanyama is playing tonight for everyone who told him he was too different, too unusual, too tall and too thin, and too awkward and too unconventional to dominate at the highest level. He is playing for every kid who was ever told that their uniqueness was a weakness. He is playing to show the world that being unlike anyone who came before you is not a disadvantage. It is a gift. 2 teams, 1 game, 48 minutes. The OKC Thunder, led by their back-to-back MVP and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, walking out of their locker room tonight with less than a full roster, but with the fire of a defending champion who refuses to surrender their throne. The San Antonio Spurs, led by the generational brilliance of Victor Wembanyama, walking out fully healthy, fully prepared, and fully convinced that the new era of Spurs basketball is not coming. It is already here. This is the best game you will watch all year. And if you have not planned to watch it yet, you just changed your mind. Game 7. OKC Thunder versus San Antonio Spurs. Western Conference Finals. 2026 NBA Playoffs. One team moves on to the NBA Finals. One team goes home. Find